Welcome to section 2, where we'll look at the circumference of a circle. So what is circumference? Circumference is simply the distance around a circle. So if I were to stand at the top of a circle and walk all around the edge of the circle back to where I started, the distance that I walked would be called the circumference. Now this concept should be familiar to you because you have done it before, just with different shapes. You called it the perimeter. So when you found the perimeter of a rectangle, you would add up the 4 side lengths together to give you the perimeter. So the circumference is the same idea, the distance around, it just has a different name for a circle. So let's look at a circle's circumference and its diameter to see if there's any relationship. So say I have the circle with this diameter. I'm going to wrap the diameter along the edge of the circle, along its circumference, to see if I notice any pattern. For this circle, it wrapped around 3 full times, leaving a little gap. So let's do that again with a smaller circle. I'm going to take the diameter and wrap it around 1, 2, 3 times, leaving a little bit of space yet again. So we can say that no matter how big or small a circle is, that the circumference is approximately 3 times the diameter. So let's use that relation here to estimate the circumference of each circle. So we can write the relation between circumference and diameter as this equation here. The circumference is approximately 3 times the diameter. So the squiggly lines is what we use when we're typically estimating. So for A, I see that the diameter is 9. So I'll write out my formula and replace D with 9 and get 3 times 9 to be 27 centimeters. So that is the distance around the circle. Now for B, I see that the diameter is 14. So 3 times 14 gives me a circumference of 42 millimeters. Now for C, I can't replace D with 2.5 because that's in fact the radius, not the diameter. So we got to remember the relation between diameter and radius. The diameter is twice the radius. So if I multiply 2.5 by 2, I get 5 meters as the diameter. So now I can plug that into the formula and get 15 meters as my circumference. Now let's work backwards. This time we're given the circumference and you have to find the radius and the diameter. So using this formula, we normally multiply the diameter by 3 to get the circumference. But because we're going backwards, we're going to divide. We're going to divide the circumference by 3 to get the diameter. So let's look at the first example. Here we have a bike tire that has a circumference of around 231 centimeters. So someone measured the distance around the outside of the tire to be 231. So if I want to figure out what the diameter is, I'll take the circumference, 231, and divide that by 3. So on my calculator, I got 77 centimeters for the diameter. Now to calculate the radius, we got to remember that the radius is the diameter divided by 2. So 77 divided by 2 gives me 38.5 centimeters. Now for the next example, we have a toonie. The circumference is around 87 millimeters. So writing out my formula and replacing the circumference with 87, I get 29 millimeters as the diameter. So now I can just divide that by 2 to figure out the radius. And I get 14.5 millimeters. Now for the last example, we have a dartboard that has a circumference of 144 centimeters. So I can just replace the circumference with 144 divide that by 3, and I get the diameter to be 48 centimeters. Now halving that, dividing by 2, I get that the radius is 24 centimeters. So now you can proceed to the next video in this lesson on circumference of circles.